SpaceX just made a decision that nobody saw coming. They're skipping Block 2 entirely. Ship 36's explosion destroyed everything. The test stand, gone. Debris in the river. But here's what's crazy. SpaceX found something in those COPV fragments that changed their entire strategy. Instead of fixing the test site for just 2 ships left, they're walking away from millions in hardware. Why would they abandon 100-plus Raptor engines already built? What did they discover that made Block 2 too dangerous to continue? The answer reveals SpaceX's biggest gamble yet, and it could either fast-track their Mars timeline or set them back years. Let's dive right in. The signs are already there. Construction crews at Starbase have been quietly shifting focus. Block 3, infrastructure, new tooling, different assembly procedures. Ships 37 and 38 still sitting in the factory, but work has slowed to a crawl. The Raptor 2 production line, winding down. The signs are everywhere. SpaceX has made their choice. They're skipping Block 2. But here's the question that will determine everything. Can they pull off this massive transition without losing momentum? Can they rebuild Massey's for Block 3, finish Pad B, complete Ship 39, and perfect Raptor 3, all at the same time? Can they do it before their competitors catch up? Before NASA loses patience? Before the contracts start getting canceled? This isn't just about SpaceX anymore. This decision affects humanity's entire timeline to becoming a multiplanetary species. If they succeed, Mars gets closer. If they fail, we all go back to waiting. And right now, with Ship 36's debris still scattered across Texas, we're about to find out if Elon Musk's biggest gamble in SpaceX history will pay off or destroy everything they've worked for. The clock is ticking. The stakes have never been higher. And SpaceX is betting everything on a rocket that barely exists. Will Block 3 save them or sink them? Hashtag SpaceX. Block 2 decision, main content. The moment everything changed, Ship 36 was just sitting there, waiting for a routine static fire test. Then it happened. The explosion didn't come from the engines like everyone expected. It started in the payload bay, where a nitrogen pressure vessel called a COPV suddenly detonated like a hidden bomb. Now here's what makes this absolutely terrifying. COPVs are built to be indestructible. They're tested at pressures 3 times higher than they'll ever face in space. But Ship 36's COPV failed at a pressure it should have laughed at. It's like your car tire exploding while parked in your garage. Something that should never, ever happen. The violence was unreal. Chunks of the ship flew hundreds of feet, landing in the nearby river, the nose cone, shredded, header tanks, obliterated. Even pieces of million-dollar Raptor engines scattered like confetti across the test site. But here's the question haunting every SpaceX engineer right now. If this COPV failed so catastrophically, what about the dozens of others sitting inside ships 37 and 38? Why? The discovery that made SpaceX's blood run cold. When the investigation team picked through those COPV fragments, they found something that changed everything. The failure wasn't from external damage, it wasn't from overheating, it was internal. The composite fibers were shredded from the inside out, the liner completely ruptured. This was a manufacturing defect that had been hiding in the pressure vessel from day one, waiting to kill. Think about this for a second. You have what looks like a perfect pressure vessel on the outside, but inside there's an invisible flaw growing stronger with every test, every thermal cycle, every pressure change. And when it finally lets go, it doesn't just leak, it explodes. Now here's where your blood should start running cold too. Every single Block 2 ship uses the exact same COPV design. Ships 37 and 38 sitting in the factory right now, they could have identical time bombs ticking inside them. But wait, there's something even more terrifying SpaceX discovered, the pattern that no one wanted to see. This wasn't random. SpaceX's data revealed something absolutely chilling. The COPV failure followed a pattern they'd been tracking for months. Ship 35, stress indicators in the nitrogen system. Ship 36, catastrophic failure. And the earlier vehicles, same warning signs in the exact same location. The nitrogen system in Block 2 has a fundamental design flaw. The COPVs are positioned too close to the header tanks. Every time those tanks cycle between super cold propellant and ambient temperature, the COPVs experience brutal thermal stress. It's like taking a glass jar and repeatedly dunking it in ice water, then boiling water. Eventually, it shatters. But here's the kicker. SpaceX engineers now believe this isn't just about Ship 36. This is about every Block 2 vehicle ever built. They're all walking around with structural cancer, and it's only getting worse with every test. So what does SpaceX do? Fix the immediate problem, or admit that their entire Block 2 design is fundamentally broken? The $100 million decision that will define SpaceX. Now, SpaceX faces the most expensive choice in their history. Option 1, rebuild the Massey's test site, install new COPVs in ships 37 and 38, cross your fingers and hope the thermal stress problem doesn't kill anyone. Cost? Around $50 million, plus months of delays, plus the almost certainty of more explosions down the road. Option 2, walk away from Block 2 entirely, but here's what walking away really means. 100 Raptor 2 engines, already built, already paid for. Each one costs roughly $1 million. That's $100 million in hardware that becomes instantly worthless the moment SpaceX says, we're done with Block 2. Then there are the boosters, super heavy boosters 15, 16, and 17, designed specifically and only for Block 2 ships. They can't mate with Block 3, more wasted millions, more delays, more admitting they were wrong. But here's the twist that's about to blow your mind. SpaceX has already made their choice, and it's not what anyone expected. The gamble that could change everything. While everyone was focused on the explosion, SpaceX quietly discovered something that changed their entire strategy. Block 3 doesn't just fix the COPV problem, it eliminates it completely. The nitrogen system is completely redesigned, repositioned away from the header tanks, using next-generation COPVs that can handle brutal thermal cycling without breaking a sweat. SpaceX realized they weren't just fixing a broken part, they were fixing a broken design. Here's where the math becomes fascinating. If they continue with Block 2, they're almost guaranteed more failures. More explosions, more destroyed test sites, more delays in the race to Mars. But if they skip directly to Block 3, they could leapfrog months of testing, avoid the thermal stress problem entirely, and unlock capabilities that make Block 2 look like a toy. Block 3 ships can carry 50% more payload. They're more reliable, more powerful, more everything. There's just one problem. Ship 39, the first Block 3 vehicle, isn't even close to being ready. Can SpaceX fast-track its construction faster than rebuilding the test site for Block 2? Can they perfect the new design before their competitors catch up? Can they afford to bet everything on an unproven next generation? The answer determines whether SpaceX accelerates their Mars timeline or crashes it completely. The domino effect that changes everything. But here's where this decision gets really complex. The Massey's test site isn't just damaged, it's obliterated. Hydraulic clamps, gone. Pneumatic systems, destroyed. Fuel lines, shredded. Everything needs to be rebuilt from the ground up. SpaceX could rebuild it for Block 2 specifications, then rebuild it again for Block 3 in a few months. Double the work, double the cost, double the delays. Or they could rebuild it once, correctly, for Block 3. But there's another domino falling. Pad A at Starbase can't handle Block 3 launches. The new ships are too big, too powerful. If SpaceX skips to Block 3, Pad A becomes a giant, expensive paperweight. Unless, what if that's not a problem? What if it's the opportunity SpaceX has been waiting for? Instead of maintaining two different pad configurations, SpaceX could demolish Pad A and rebuild it exactly like Pad B. Two identical launch pads, two identical systems, double the launch cadence. That could accelerate their Mars timeline by years. But it also means admitting that everything they've built so far was just practice. Are they ready to make that admission? The race against time that no one talks about. Here's what most people don't understand. SpaceX isn't just racing to Mars. They're racing against contracts worth billions of dollars. NASA's Artemis program, commercial satellite launches, military missions, all booked months in advance, all depending on Starship working soon. Every delay costs millions. Every explosion pushes back the timeline. Every month they spend fixing Block 2 is a month their competitors use to catch up. But here's the terrifying part of this gamble. If Block 3 development hits any snags, if Ship 39 takes longer than expected, if the new COPVs have their own problems, SpaceX loses everything. No flights for months, disappointed customers, delayed Mars missions, contracts canceled, competitors taking market share. The entire company could be betting its future on an unproven design that exists mostly on paper. But if it works, if they can pull off this transition, if Block 3 delivers on its promises, SpaceX doesn't just survive, they dominate. They leapfrog everyone else in the space industry by years. They become the undisputed leader in heavy-lift rockets. So which is it? Brilliant strategy or catastrophic mistake? The secret breakthrough that changes everything. While everyone was obsessing over the explosion, SpaceX quietly made another discovery. The Raptor 3 engines designed for Block 3 aren't just more powerful, they're fundamentally different. They use a completely new combustion cycle that eliminates most of the problems that have been plaguing Raptor 2. No more combustion instability, no more thermal stress cracking, no more catastrophic failures during critical moments. But here's the genius part. Those 100-plus Raptor 2 engines sitting in storage, they're not wasted money, they're data. SpaceX can tear them down, study every wear pattern, analyze every failure mode, and use that information to perfect Raptor 3. Every failed engine becomes a stepping stone to the next generation. This is classic SpaceX thinking. Turn every setback into a setup for the next breakthrough. Every explosion teaches them something new. Every failure makes the next version stronger. But it only works if they have the courage to make the leap. And early reports suggest they're already jumping. The moment of truth. So here we are standing at the crossroads of space history. SpaceX just made a decision that will either catapult humanity to Mars or set us back years. They're gambling everything on Block 3, walking away from millions in hardware, betting on an unproven design. But maybe, just maybe, that's exactly what it takes to change the world. Think about it. Every revolutionary leap requires abandoning the good enough for the impossible. SpaceX isn't just building rockets. They're rewriting the rules of what's possible. The question isn't whether they'll succeed, it's whether we're ready for what comes next. Because if Block 3 works, if those Raptor 3 engines deliver, if Ship 39 flies without exploding, then Mars isn't decades away anymore, it's years away, maybe even months. What do you think? Is SpaceX making the smartest move in their history or the biggest mistake? Drop your predictions in the comments below. And if you want to follow this story as it unfolds, because trust me, it's just getting started, hit that subscribe button, because the next chapter of humanity's journey to the stars is about to be written. The clock is ticking, the future is waiting, and SpaceX is betting everything on a dream that's about to become reality. Will you be watching when it happens? Starship keeps exploding. 3 Block 2 failures, Ship 36 destroyed, Artemis 3 delayed to 2027. But what if SpaceX already has a moon rocket ready to go? Falcon Heavy sits on the pad with 27 engines and 11 perfect launches. It can throw 16.8 tons to the moon, more than Apollo needed. While Blue Origin celebrates one orbital flight, SpaceX could put astronauts in lunar orbit tomorrow. So why isn't NASA using it? What's stopping this proven beast from saving Artemis? And how did Blue Origin just get completely humiliated in this space race? Let's dive right in. The $2.9 billion disaster unfolds. Here's what NASA doesn't want you to know. Back in 2021, SpaceX crushed Blue Origin and Dynetics, winning the $2.9 billion Artemis contract. Everyone thought it was over. SpaceX had conquered the moon race. But 3 years later, Starship Block 2 has exploded, 3 times in a row. Ship 36 detonated during a simple static fire test. The U.S. Government Accountability Office dropped a bombshell warning. Raptor engine delays pose the biggest threat to America's return to the moon. Let that sink in. The engine designed to land humans on lunar soil can't even survive basic ground tests. NASA quietly moved Artemis 3 from 2025 to mid-2027. Then Amit Chatria, NASA's deputy administrator, delivered the crushing blow. They might not even complete the propellant transfer demonstration by 2025. That's the make-or-break test where Starship proves it can refuel in orbit. Without that milestone, no moon landing, game over. The monster that's been waiting. But while everyone watches Starship burn, there's a beast lurking in the shadows. A rocket that's never failed, a rocket that could save Artemis tomorrow, a rocket NASA's been ignoring. Falcon Heavy. Most people think it's just 3 Falcon 9s bolted together. Dead wrong. This monster was engineered from day one to carry humans beyond Earth orbit. SpaceX